Thank you so much for that reception. What an amazing reception. We did it. You campaigned for it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now.
So, does that stir memories? Can you remember that day? Well, was you there? Did it make you feel proud at that particular time to think, I've made a difference, the Tories are finally out after 14 years, things are now going to change? And how does that make you feel now, looking back on that? I'm sure it stirs some emotions, as it does in most people. I have done some video, a video regarding, do you know anybody who voted Labour? And I had something like 600 plus replies. And obviously I didn't read every single comment. But the overwhelming response is no. People do not admit they voted Labour. I don't know why. It's not your fault. You was lied to, you was deceived, but people feel ashamed or don't want to put up with any harassment that you could possibly get by admitting they voted Labour. And like I said, I don't vote. I've got no political agenda to push. But I'd probably feel the same. I don't know. So I think we need to just go back a little bit before the election and look at a couple of the past leaders. I think it's a good place to start to maybe build up a picture of why we are where we are today. So if we go back to Ed Miliband, now he must be a very forgettable character because I can't even remember him being head of the Labour Party. He's like just one of the most forgettable people, a bit like John Major, it's, saying that I could vaguely remember him because he was bleeding boring. His pitch was a soft left approach, after Brown. Focused on the cost of living and energy price freeze. He's still pushing the green agenda, isn't he? That's another video there, isn't it? What a load of rubbish that is. And he lost the election in 2015. Now, a party asked the question, is he the right leader? Is he the face for the party? So then we had Jeremy Corbyn, 2015 to 2020, hard left. He was unvotable, wasn't he? If you're sort of a tree hugger, student type, hippie, it's like the ideal, prime minister for you. But the rest of us who live in the real world and have to go to work, it's just unvotable, wasn't it? He focused on the cost of living, energy price freezes, and he did have huge grassroots movement support. But the party was at the time heavily divided over the Brexit. He lost the election heavily, didn't he? He was basically unvotable, wasn't he? So then we move on to Keir Starmer. He rebranded Labour and he modernised Labour, didn't he? He was supposed to be business friendly, promised integrity, stability, competence, marked himself as a change without chaos after the previous two, who was unvotable, a bit like Kinnock. But he did look respectable, didn't he? He looked serious, I feel I can trust this guy. Alternative to the Tory turbulence, polished lawyer, people like the message, heavy on trust and competence. But many people say the pitch was built on the promises that faded once power was secured. And they was right, wasn't they? Election promises he made at the time. No tax rises, backtracked. Green investment, backtracked. NHS waiting list action, made a small improvement. Border control, small boats plan, disaster. Workers' right. He's implemented some of them, but 90% of it got chucked in the waste paper basket, The manifesto was sold with hopes of a big ticket ideas, investments in the future, to rebuild services, clean energy, safe borders. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? But when it came to the crunch, when he got in power, it very slowly just went back on everything. The election push was slick and it was controlled, and Starmer avoided controversy. avoided details when pushed. It worked, people watched, and people wanted calm and not chaos. People felt it. I think they believed anything at the time. I mean, we all hoped it was true. We wanted change. 14 years, a Conservative Party. You just think, well, Labour can't be any worse. It's impossible. We'll give them a chance. It's who else are we going to vote for? Won the election. Like I said, all the promises were toned down or basically abandoned. The debates on taxes and spending. I mean, crikey, just look at the last budget. I mean, he's nailed us to the cross, hasn't he? Critics say we've been betrayed. And supporters say it's realism. Spending scaled back, the bold talk softened and replaced with financial responsibility. Well, I don't know about that. They've just made the debt bigger, haven't they? I mean, it's hard to keep up how big that debt is. I mean, it's growing every minute of every day, isn't it? People were sold change and they've delivered nothing except betrayal. That's all they've delivered. As a nation, we totally misread Keir Starmer. We should have known because the signs were there. If you look back now at his interviews, it's all, he'd say one thing on one channel, ask the same question 5 minutes later on another channel, and he would say something totally different. Basically, his answer went by what he thought the viewers were on that particular programme or what they wanted to hear, and that's what he would say. It didn't matter if it was something different, and he obviously doesn't care either, does he? But as a person, we obviously totally misread him because he's not the kind of person we thought he was. He's a fraudster, spineless, and many other names which I can't mention here today, but I'll leave you to mention that in the comments section. I'd love to hear your comments on this. I mean, I've had 1,000+ comments about people saying, they feel betrayed, they want him out. Well, I don't need to tell you that. I'm sure you probably want him out, you want to change. But I'd like to hear your views about how you feel betrayed, your views on Starmer, and your views on how, we were fooled to voting. Because we were, all these people who voted were, you were duped. You were like a snake charmer, isn't he, really? So if you like the video, please hit the like button and please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And please put your views in the comments section. I will endeavour to reply to every single one of them. I hope you liked this video. Thank you very much for watching.